Hello! Today is about teaching how to point. And it's such an important skill even to us grown-ups na. For example, when we go to a restaurant, tapos hindi natin mabasa yung menu or puro pictures lang yung nandun sa menu, but you can tell the waiter your choice just by pointing. Or when we're traveling, tapos nawawala tayo at humingi tayo ng directions, maiintindihan na natin kung saan pupunta kung may mag-point sa atin kung saan. And that's why this is such an important early gesture to learn, because before they can tell you or say what they want, they will have to be able to show you what they want. And this will change their entire experience. This gives them the power to change their world. Not just to sit and wait to be given things, to be served, but to actually make a choice and get what they want. Kaya tara, usap tayo. Let's get talking. Hello! For those who are new here, I'm Teacher Kaye and I'm a certified speech-language pathologist. Like we said in the intro, today is going to be about pointing, and I think this will be especially helpful for the parents whose babies are already showing signs na ready na sila for pointing. What are some of these signs? Kapag nakikita nating may tinitingnan sila, tas titingnan ka, na parang may gusto silang sabihin, may gusto silang i-communicate sa inyo, but they don't know how else to do it. Later on, I will also share some troubleshooting tips for the parents naman na think, ready na nga sila. In fact, they bring me to places, but then after they bring me there, they just stand there, tas iiyak na lang sila. So, hindi sila makapag-specify kung ano yung gusto nila. So, I'm going to start by talking about the prerequisites to finger pointing. Ano na ba yung mga skills na dapat meron yung anak nyo bago natin i-expect na kakayanin nilang mag-point with their fingers? Number one, dapat meron na silang joint attention, which I've mentioned in so many of my previous videos. What this just means is dapat nakaka-share na kayo ng moment together. Nakaka-focus sila on either you or another person or something that you are looking at and pointing to them as well. Number two, do they have enough social skills? Like, do you think they want to communicate something with you? Could they be initiating an interaction with their eyes? Number three, do they have intention? Meaning, naiintindihan ba nila na they have to do something to get something? Number four, do they understand what it means to be specific? Meron na ba silang things that they like and things that they don't like? Can they make choices? Number five, are their motor skills ready to put their other fingers into a fist but isolating just the index finger? Wow. That's a lot of work for babies, even if it seems so easy to us. Usually, babies at around 12 months old or their first birthday will have checked off all of these prerequisites. So if you think your baby is ready, here are some tips on how to teach them to point. Okay, ready? The first thing that you need to do to teach your child to point is to do it yourself. So for at least 1 to 2 weeks, you have to continuously model the pointing in your daily activities, in playing, reading books, etc. For people who can already use speech or can talk already to communicate, siguro hindi na tayo masyadong nagpo-point. So we have to make that conscious effort in those 1 to 2 weeks or however long it takes to keep modeling the pointing to your child para they understand paano ba siya ginagamit, kailan ba siya ginagamit. So I'm going to give you examples of some of the opportunities that you can take advantage of to model pointing. For example, in your daily activities, you can say, "Look, ipis!" Or kapag alam niyong meron ng pauwi, tas naririnig niyo na siya sa labas ng pintuan, mag-make ka na ng sounds like, "Sino yan? Naririnig mo? Parang merong tao sa labas." Para pag open ang door, masasabi mo na, "Uy, look! Si Daddy andito na!" For example, meron siyang kapatid na pwede mong isali. Sabihin mo, "Oh, magtago ka sa likod ng mga sofa," ganyan. Tapos nandun kami sa kabila. So that every time lalabas siya dun sa likod ng sofa, pwede mong sabihin, "Look! Look! Andun na! Tingnan mo! Look!" So, ang daming beses nyo na yun pwedeng gawin. Kapag maglalaro na kayo, bago nyo laruin yung toy, you can take the opportunity to point to its smaller parts because yun talaga kailangan gamit mo 1 finger lang. So, pwede mong sabihin, "Look! It's your favorite car! Look! It's blue in front! Also your favorite car! tambucho. Look! Wheels. One wheel. Look! Second wheel. Third wheel. Fourth wheel. Tas meron ding mushroom. Look! Merong mushroom. You can also draw attention to books. Say, look! It's Lola! My bird! Look! Look at the bird. It says, cuckoo! Some reminders when you're only starting to point out, dapat magsimula tayo sa mga malalapit lang, yung nasa shared space lang natin, bago tayo mag-move on to something across the room or even as far as the sky. So make sure that what you are pointing at is rewarding for the child. Gusto ba niya talaga yung makita? Is it interesting? Because if we overdo the look and then it's not something interesting, baka sabihin niya, sus, look naman ang look, ayoko naman yun. So baka mawala ng bisa yung pointing and yung look. And for the children na medyo nahihirapan mag-form ng associations between the pointing and the drawing attention, use only a few words. Choose lang muna kayo. Are you going to use look every time or tignan mo? Para lang matulungan natin sila to form the connection of yung pag-point nyo, gusto kong tignan mo. And after you've modeled and modeled for so many times, dapat alisto din tayo dun sa mga opportunities na nakikita nating may tinitingnan na yung anak nyo at pwedeng yun yung pointan nyo. So, child-directed. Hindi laging what I want you to look at. So, sometimes pag nakikita nating nakatitig na sila somewhere, pwede nyo din namang i-point din yun just to emphasize na tinitignan mo ba to? Oh, look! Yes, I can see! And for the parents na sanay doon sa verbal prompt na, what's this? What's this? So, if we want them to point, we have to change the prompt from what's this to where is the or nasaan yung. So, for example, we're looking at the book. So, imbes na sabihin natin, what's that? Eh, gusto mo silang mag-point. Sabihin mo, where is the balloon? Where's the balloon? And look, I'm drawing attention to the balloon para rin sila yung makapag-point doon sa balloon. Now, what if feeling nyo, nagawa ko na yan lahat pero hindi talaga siya nagpo-point? So, here are some troubleshooting tips based on the prerequisite skills na pinag-usapan ko kanina. Isa-isahin ko sila. If you feel like ang kulang dun sa baby nyo ay yung joint attention aspect, so we need to try to remove the distractions from the area. How can we do this? We need to modify everything in the environment by siguro, if you're going to play with one thing na gusto nyo mag-attend siya to just that one thing, make sure walang ibang toys na nakikita. Make sure walang nakapaskil dun sa walls nyo that could be drawing his attention. Make sure walang ibang sounds. Hindi naka-on yung TV kahit in the background na madidistract siya dun sa sound nun. So also try to be in an environment in a smaller space first para hindi siya nadidistract na pwede siyang tumakbo all around. So some of the things that I try to do, kunyari naglalaro kami sa floor, pupunta ako dun sa corner, tapos isi-spread ko yung legs ko na parang gate around the child. So if this is the corner, nakaupo ako this way, tapos nandito yung bata sa gitna, para lang ako lang talaga yung nakikita niya and wala siya masyadong temptation to go somewhere else. I talked about modifying the environment in episode 8 and it's such an important part of working on their attention. And opposite to removing distractions, you want to, wait for it, be animated, my favorite. So kunwari wala nang ibang distraction, you need to draw their attention by being super big with your movements and making yourself exciting para gusto din niyang ikaw yung tingnan. And then, sobrang important yung mga iba-ibang cues na pwede nating gamitin. If you noticed kanina, I already did some of them. So, to draw more attention to the item that you want your child to look at, you can make some auditory cues or things na maririnig nila. So, instead of just pointing, look, pwede kong itap. Look at this! Tapos that sound could distract the child and titingnan niya, ano nga ba yun? Also, try to do bigger movements so you can go, the car is gonna go, vroom! Oh my gosh, look! That came from the tambucho! Wow, Taglish. Also, to make the pointing more apparent, you can shake or wiggle your fingers. So, kunyari, nakapoint ka na, look! Car! car! Blue car! So you are wagging your finger and it might draw more attention. It's also nice to have toys that can move. So for example, we're both looking at the toy now right in front of our faces. And then when we roll it, it's a good opportunity to say, look, it's going there! Now, what about the social aspect? What can make them want to communicate or interact with you? So one of the most effective things that I use to tempt them to want to communicate with me is by holding something that I know they like. So whether it's a toy or food, mas lalo if it's food, talagang kakainin ko lang sa harap nila hanggang na they make some sort of gesture to get my attention and pinpoint na gusto ko yan. They're already looking at the toy. So, kunyari, ilalapit ko yung face ko, nakatingin din ako sa toy, tas magko-comment ako on the toy and say things like, yeah, that's your favorite car. Blue yung car. Yung nagda-drive, may mushroom. Hanggang magets nila na, kapag tinitingnan ko pala, titingnan din niya. And then it will give them the idea na, okay, to make mama look at the same thing, titingin din ako dun sa other things para titingin din siya dun. And eventually, that could turn into something more specific like pointing. Makikita nyo if they're starting to want to draw attention to other things if pag tiningnan nyo yung same thing na tiningnan niya, sometimes susubukan nilang kunin yon tapos ilagay talaga sa harap ng mukha mo para bang ito, tignan mo din to, ito yung gusto kong tignan mo. And that's a good starting skill. If you are working on the intention or understanding that they need to do something to get something, usually I start with preferences. So, kunwari nakatayo sila dun sa harap ng ref pero wala silang ginagawa. So, I open the refrigerator and think about something that they like and something that they possibly don't like. Ilalabas ko yung dalawang items. Pero hindi ko agad ibibigay yung gusto niya. So, paglabas ng dalawang items, sasabihin ko, do you want this? Tas ipopoint ko yung ayaw niya. Tas kung wala siyang reaction, then it will make you want to point to the thing na alam mong gusto niya. Ito ba yung gusto mo? And then kapag they make some sort of gesture to go to it, to get it, or something, this, you want this. Tapos, para hindi iisa lang yung opportunity, kunyari, yung gusto nila is a bag of cookies, for example. Buksan nyo na yung cookies at every time ipopoint nila or they try to make the gesture of pointing, isa lang yung ibibigay mo. Para mas maraming beses pa nila mapapractice yung pointing. So for each time that they point, one cookie only. Para ulit-ulitin. Because like I keep saying, it's the repetition that will teach them the skill. So yung mga food items na yan, usually sa clinic kapag pinapadala ko yung mga parents, can you bring some snack that they like? I usually request for a snack na maraming smaller pieces or a snack na pwedeng biyak-biyakin para mas maraming opportunities for practice. And for the motor preparedness part, dapat nakikita nyo na nakakapag-imitate na yung anak nyo ng bigger movements before smaller movements. So, kaya na ba niyang magtaas ng kamay kapag sinabi nyo, hooray! Or kapag nagpe-pretend kayo mag-march, nakakagaya na ba siya mag-marching in place? For smaller movements, what about clapping? This is one of the easiest things. And for even smaller movements, it's something like pag-imitate ng close open. Kung nagagawa na nila yan, then that's a really good sign to see that they are prepared na for the pointing with the index finger. Here are my tips for isolating the use of the index finger. First is you may want to do hand-over-hand assistance muna. So, kunyari, napapansin nyo na yung anak nyo either ganito if they want to direct your attention to something, so it's all fingers, or nakaball yung fist. So what you can do is to hold your child's hand and then lift that finger when you want them to point to something. But of course, even if naganyan nyo na yung finger nila, they cannot sustain this position by themselves unless kaya na talaga nilang i-isolate yung index finger nila. And here are some tips to practice isolating the use of that index finger. One of the easiest tasks na pwede nyong gawing pang practice is by switching on the light switches in your house. So every time, kunyari, buhat-buhat niyo siya at papasok kayo sa new room, siya yung ipag-flip on and off mo ng mga light switches. And that's good practice for not just you modeling the light switching, but for them to actually try doing it. And then there are toys that require just one finger. For example, may mga ibang books na parang kailangan ilalagay mo yung finger mo in a hole before you can slide the thing to reveal a secret picture, mga ganyan. And toys that have holes. For example, meron kayong mga shape sorter na dyan sa bahay. So, i-model nyo lang na pinapasok nyo yung finger nyo isa-isa dun sa mga different butas dun sa iba't ibang butas noong toy para nakikita nila na, isa-isa lang ginagawa ni mama. Ito lang yung ginagamit niyang finger. Another activity that I've tried before is by putting some ink. Syempre, kailangan child-safe yung ink. Putting some ink on their finger so that they will try to stamp that ink onto a paper. Tapos pag nakita nila na, oh, may red! So they'll want to keep doing it para ma-practice yung kanilang stamping on a piece of paper or something. And then, ang walang kamatayang favorite ay popping bubbles. So again, when you blow your bubbles and then you can model that you are using your index finger for them to pop. Of course, makikita nyo na with a lot of these tasks, at first, they will want to use their entire hands to do it. But with enough modeling and practice, and with your hand-over-hand assistance, they will eventually want to just use their one hand to do it kasi mas efficient. And then for children with finger strength issues, so you may want to use squishy balls like this one or clay, Play-Doh, where they can sink their fingers into the squishy item. Maganda rin yung Play-Doh. For example, meron kang malaking mound ng Play-Doh, tapos you have smaller items like little figurines or parang yung pinost ko kay the crafter teacher na meron siya mga mini objects na pwede niyang ibaon dun sa clay. That's also practice for them putting pressure with just one finger. So the smaller the items, syempre, mas gagamitin nila just one finger. Kasi if you use bigger items, magagamit nila yung buong kamay nila. Always remember to be careful with small items kasi choking hazard. So do not leave them unattended. And the other things is to improve their pincer strength. So to work with toys that have tongs or something. And like this one. So this one, they have to hold this with their pen grip para ma-magnetize nila yung item around the obstacle course. So this is good because mahahawakan lang nila to with a few fingers. And this will improve the strength of their pincer grip. So that's also good for isolating the use of the index finger. And we're finished for today! Ang dami nun, di ba? So remember to just keep practicing. It will not happen overnight. So the modeling itself will take 1 to 2 weeks before you can even try the other tips that I gave. But I promise that if you keep trying to do this, may maa-absorb at maa-absorb din yung mga babies nyo. If this was helpful, guys, share it with someone na baka nangangailangan din. And you may reach me on my Facebook and Instagram at Teacher Kaye Talks. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I would love it if you could press that subscribe button for our growing community. And hanggang sa muli, happy talking, happy pointing, and mabuhay!